Game number 4 for the Fighting Irish. The Miami, Ohio Redhawks are in town. I'm Tim Prister with Tim O'Malley from Irish Illustrated, joined by John Brice of the Football Scoop and Irish Illustrated. This is Irish Illustrated's Instant Analysis, brought to you by RVMH Hall of Fame in Elkhart, Indiana. Well, guys, you know, when I look at this game, Miami, Ohio, one of the better pass defensive teams in the country last year. They've lost some guys in the secondary. They've gained some from Mississippi State. You know, if you're facing Notre Dame, why wouldn't you just say, we're going to force you to beat us with the passing game? I would imagine that that's what Chuck Martin and defensive coordinator Bill Brecken are looking at with this game against Notre Dame.
Yeah, I think it's going to be that way for Notre Dame more weeks than not until Notre Dame is more consistent in its throw game, particularly more consistent in its throw game beyond 10 yards. And so Miami of Ohio, incredibly well coached. I think we've stressed that this week, but I have tremendous respect for that coaching staff. But it's a hot day, and I don't think Miami has the depth or the horses, particularly up front, to control Notre Dame's running game enough to make Notre Dame reliant on the passing game.
Tim, if you're the Redhawks, they're giving up 5.6 yards per carry. Their linebackers are very good. Their secondary is very solid. Obviously, where they're struggling is along the defensive line. Just pile people in the box and say, go ahead and throw the football, Riley Leonard. We don't think you can do it.
Yeah, I think get creative in your run game, your run defense a little bit with twists and stunts, make Notre Dame adjust with their eyes. I mean, it's not new starters because, as you joked in the office, 37 starts now 37. For the offensive line with Rocco Spindler and Pat Coogan rejoining. But it's the first time they're really together, first time in one half they've been together. I mean, I think they have to muck things up inside and dare Notre Dame to beat them through the air. I took a look quickly because Riley Leonard's averaging 5.5 yards per pass attempt, and his average depth of target's about 6 yards. It's just so tight and condensed right now. Even in his truncated season at Duke, he was over 9 yards for depth of target. You got to figure it's coming. I'm surprised it didn't happen a little bit last week, but he only played one half. So this would be a very good time for Riley Leonard. I'm not talking Riley Leonard's coming out and throwing 20 times in the first half. You should be running the ball. But you want to see Riley Leonard throw as well as Steve Angeli did last week. That's not too much to ask. They're on the same team, with the same offense. I think that is something that Notre Dame fans need to see. Riley Leonard having a balanced 3.5 quarters of football, 3 quarters of football.
John, what are you looking at today?
You know, I'm looking at, is today a Mitchell Evans breakout game? I think there's a sense on campus, and certainly you heard Mike Denbrock say it earlier this week. Last week was the first time that Mitch had really been full go on things, and so I believe this could be a Mitch Evans game, especially for the reasons that you guys just enumerated. The fact that Miami probably will crowd the box, probably will be so focused on the run that I think you may be able to leak Mitch Evans or one of the other tight ends, again, out into the seam, get one of those throws further downfield, loosen up that defense a little bit. That, to me, is one of the key things. They've got to take some more shots offensively. Riley's got to trust his receivers to take those shots. And is it a Chris Mitchell game? Does Riley Leonard decide to give Chris Mitchell a 50-50 chance? And we heard Marcus Freeman on Thursday say the stats don't remotely tell the value of Chris Mitchell. That's all well and good, but I don't know a receiver who doesn't want the ball.
Yeah. Tim, on the other side of the football, Brett Gabbert, a very veteran football player, as we said during the week, doesn't necessarily blow you away with his size or his quickness or even his arm strength, although he does throw the deep ball well. What are you expecting to see there? They have not run the football well at all. That's an understatement. They've got a couple of receivers. Cade McDonald originally from Michigan State has been very, very good. What are you looking for on that side?
Yeah, the issue, I think this is a tough matchup for Miami's offense versus Notre Dame, because if you can't run the ball against Notre Dame, Northern Illinois showed that is actually the best way to move the ball is to power running game and maybe have a future pro in your backfield as well, of course. Throwing 40 times is tough against Notre Dame's secondary because they will play man-to-man and they'll take away those 5-yard routes. They'll take away everything. Benjamin Morrison and Xavier Watts get all the publicity. I wrote this morning. Christian Gray, Jordan Clark, Adon Schuler. Look for them to have big games today against this passing attack. I think you can't – there's just not that many places to pick on Notre Dame. John, you mentioned a hot day. You could see a little bit more of Jaden Mickey, and maybe they do have to work in Urlacher because you want to rotate and keep the backside fresh. They're throwing 40 to 45 times. That secondary has to stay fresh too.
And It's a concern point for Notre Dame, in my opinion, the heat coupled with the injuries along the defensive front. I still don't think Joshua Burnham will be ready to go. We'll know officially 60 minutes before kickoff when Notre Dame issues its final injury report, but there were not indications this week that he was expected to be able to go. Gabriel Rubio still out there. Obviously, Jordan Botello, the first game starting without him. So Notre Dame needs depth. We've seen them be very smart with their rotation. They rotated extensively in the first half at Texas A&M because of the heat. They can't rotate quite as extensively today because of those injuries. They're still going to need some of their depth guys to step up until this game is secured.
This has been Irish Illustrated's Instant Analysis, brought to you by RVMH Hall of Fame in Elkhart, Indiana. Post-game, look for us, our instant analysis as well as our post-game YouTube presentation.